This is Gerald Johan van Waas. I have an order for all the letters which is based upon a Pythagorean order. This order is based upon an old system with Roman letters, but of course it is a balanced out system which used to be numerical, but which can be used actually for in a lot more context in how we perceive the world, in how the world is balanced and balanced out, and how we perceive it within that balance, so that we have a very good order that we can make in space, in time, and in a spatial contextual environment, let's say, or a bigger context. Now, the order is not just based upon these letters, it's also based upon how they sound, and the letters that we use in the Roman script, they fit with, a lot of these letters will fit quite well within that system. Will it be the same for other languages? Of course it will be, but they use, of course, a different kind of balance in different parts in the world. But there are a couple of systems and a couple of languages in other countries where they also perceived and gave an order to the letters within a certain yin and yang balance. And the script, the Hangul script in Korea, South and North Korea, they use this script, as I'm not mistaken, that they use them in both countries. Once was invented or established by Sejong the Great in the former country before there was Korea. So you have both flags as well, as you can see. That is balanced out. Script was also important, that they wanted to keep also this idea not of the former script, the Chinese script, that was in balance in a yin and yang system. They wanted to keep it, but according to the sounds produced by the Korean language. There's a great series also about Sejong the Great and how he developed that script, but you can see already how much that balance is important in the flags of the flag of Joseon and also in the flag of South Korea. These ideas are still there. It is still shown how this balance should be there. So this balance should be also available in the script and should actually also match my theory to a degree, of course, that we have to see where it matches, because the sounds are a bit different, but the sounds, when they are produced the same, should match actually the same places. So let's figure that out. I have already placed here the most of the letters here, and I have already described some of it in my book over there, that how this yin and yang balance is there in that script and how you can figure it out. But it's maybe what I didn't do is give it a match to my system, because if you want to learn my system and you're for instance from Korea, it is important to know, okay, what is the script in Korea, how is it associated, and how does it match with my theory, and then you can learn much more easy to see how is this language used, how are the words used, how are the words orientating themselves within that theory of balance that I have here worked out further. So let's go and find out the most important letters in Hangul. But I will start, of course, from the most perfect matches where they are, and I will go from there. What we will see immediately is that you have in my system three kinds of focus. You have the focus in space, the one in timing, and the one in a contextual base. this contextual base is actually also like, yeah, this is like the general theory, this is the general rule. Let's figure out how in a general context things are used. It's a different way of thinking compared to the local, direct things that are there, and then things that are changing, or things that are there all the time, or are related to a perfect theory. The reality is, of course, often different, so there has to be an adaptation process. The adaptation process is that green part. The blue part underneath is the part where the space is, so that's where the things are, where the objects are, where we can orientate ourselves in space and so on. So there's a balance between what we have, that's in the blue part, which I describe as blue. In the blue part, the green part is then the changes that are happening, so the whole things that are happening and your adaptation process, and which I now have as the gray area, is actually our contextual base, where we try to figure out what's the balance between what's happening in green in the timing and what is real in the blue part, and how we can make it match so that we understand it, how things should be as they are all the time. And in this balance, you can immediately also in the script discover two major differences in letters. And this is already the first yin and yang balance that you can find out, and they completely match also with my theory. The I is exactly the same form as in the Roman script. It's exactly at the same spot as you can see it there. And it's also what I described it as, there is like you have an insertion, because here you realize, okay, here I find a match, that how things should be. So even within the all the process of that you're not very sure how is it going, something is not going well, so maybe I'm not understanding it very well, or someone is not understanding very well. So we have to have an adaptation. When we find out the adaptation process and we find the general rule, we can re-establish also a local rule. And that match which you make is like, I have a new idea, I know now how to make the match. This making a match is I, and it's almost like saying, I have a new idea. From before everything was uncertain, but now I have a new certainty. Yes, here is the match. That's my new renewal also of everything. That's the I that you see there on top. The counterbalance of that is where do you find that in as a yin and yang balance? If you have the matches in the Korean script, you come at the place where I have the U. Or the U, the U, all of that. Here it is related with actually, the if I pronounce it well, because it's also there. It's also at that minimum, that minimal thing that you can say, it is actually more It is that minimal, ongoing sound. Like the sound is that really the minimal physical thing that you're absolutely sure, yeah, this is really what it should be. And with the you give it, give it a go. You can say, okay. This is the certainty that there is something that you know, okay, there's nothing to do about it. There's no renewal there. It's all the old stuff, but I'm sure that's still there. It's lingering on. And yeah, okay, I can use it. It's the dust of the world, let's say, the old dust of the world compared to the new refreshment of the I. So this is the balance that you have there. So the W keeps it running, and that's the counterbalance of E. If you want to understand where words are used, compare it to the U place. Of course, with these words, the word also has a place in my system. It is like it's lingering on. So it actually says, yes, I will use what I know, and I'll use it even a bit longer and see where it will get me. The word will do that as well. So it will not just at the or the U, the undeveloped part. It will give it a go. It will give it a go in what is happening. It will allow it to linger on. That's what you have in were compared to E, which is the renewal. So here, compared to as a yin and yang system, you can describe the were like here, this blue arrow, which is at the same spot as U. It says, yes, I make a start from what I know, I follow up what I know, I follow up all the things that I maintain the known base. While on top you have the renewal base based upon feedback. So you had feedback before, you realize what you should do and what you should change, and according to that you make that renewal. So that's the balance. Upon the system of that yin and yang, you have these two positions, and they absolutely match there at that point, and so that you have them in that order of balance. I have described them at the same positions in my book as well, differently, but they are also there at these positions. The O, what is that? That is actually that. So you have these two parts. You have the part that goes in. So that's the, let's say that is the positive renewal. The red one part is the positive renewal, and the blue part is the maintenance. When things are changing in that renewal, we have actually an engagement in the process which is in progress. So when the process is in progress, you have not just the balance of everything is continuing, but you also have a continuing according to the heavens, so upward, so according to the renewal, according to all the processes. So that's O. So that's the match for O, and that's the letter for O. The other way around is, of course, the U. That's that lingering on, as I say as well. So it's that undeveloped part. It just let it go. It let it develop on its own, like that. That's the U. It's in a way, it's negative. It goes to the matter. It let matter go and let it do what it is doing. So the which comes forth from it, which is that progress made from there, is indeed starting from U. Within that yin and yang balance, in the picture of what is happening in the green part, you can have it in that part as well. So it's on two levels. You can understand it, but the U in the middle, if you say, okay, let's see what it does in life, I can describe it like that in O and in the U. What we have also in my system is in the middle there is all about the timing. The 9 letters that we have there are all about timing. So there the timing is the involvement. So all the letters that are related with time are matching upon that arrow of the follow-up of all the changes. And the letters that match there will also show you in what way we follow things up in time. The O actually is then also at the same match as O or O. You have both, for me, both of them, the O are at the same spot because they all start from the same spot. the Korean script gives it even more function, and you realize what the function is between O and O, so that's also quite interesting. The O will say, okay, the O also in my system has two positions. You have, it's a starting point of where the timing starts, that's what I say. And then also it from that moment on, it will also describe its moment. So then then you come to you go to the moment, the momentums that you have there that can be described from there, and they can be found there. So I don't make so much difference between O and O. I figure out by context what they mean. But here they have a very nice position, a nice balanced out position, and you can see them described in the way how it has been designed. A is, you can see it's there in the middle. It is the progress in time, so it is progressing in time, and then renewal is busy. The E is the renewal, so the A is a combination of E with E as a renewal. We here in some countries in the West, we could also design it as A plus E. In some other language, you could also describe it as A plus E. This E is that renewal process in it. A with E and E, it is A. It's very close to each other. A, almost quite difficult to hear the differences. But yeah, that's also one of the things in a Korean language that I think is difficult, because I don't have much opportunity to learn it well enough. So I see that these sounds are pretty close to each other, but I'm not sure where the differences are used for describing words. So I'm not going to investigate any of the words there, because the differences are pretty small there as well. That's very subtle. And then you have also way, where again you have the position of the W. The W is, that's really the lingering on. You just go and see how far can I go for it, and you're not very sure how long you can maintain it. It is the progress of the things that you try to learn. That's what is written in my theory. W is continuing your progress, and see how far you can go. That's the W. With way, it has a meaning also. It is a word, and it means why. It is that lingering on plus its evolution. So how long can I linger on? Its evolution is that question that is underlying. You can understand it from that basis on. The A, where is the A? In my system, it's underneath. You can see it is that starting point. It's the starting point of my whole system. And it's a starting point which you can also say it starts after every renewal. You have a point where you can start from. But every time when you start something new as well, you start from there. But you have to experience it. You have to see, okay, where shall it lead to? You don't know it yet. You just start from what you know. So you continue also with what you know. That's also in the blue part. That's the physicality, the objects, the objectivity. You continue with what you know. And here it is underneath. You can see here the still written down, that maintaining the known base as well. It's still there, lingering on in the background. But it's a decision. So A is a decision. No, I make a decision. I will start from here and see how far it will, where I can go to. You can also put it into the time frame so that you can see, okay, from here on, I will see what it will bring me in every process. So A is a dependent process. It is I decide that I start from here, and let's see where it will lead to. That's the idea of A. There's a few other letters that I can recognize, which are also pretty well visible in my system and are pretty well a match. The M in my system is in the first category. The first category is about the spatial orientation, or orientation upon everything which is objective, everything which is physical as well. The top layer on it is that the middle part. So you have the first part are the starting points, and you have the middle part, which are the developments, the material which is developing there, and the end part are the concluding, connecting the dots, let's say. But the M is on the top, so it is at its full development of matter. And that's what it also is. It's at its full expansion of matter. And so the form matches it quite well. That you see, okay, it is growing to all directions at once, and it is at its maximum. And so it's a very good way to describe it, actually, the M as well, even when you compare it to the Roman script as well. It's that maximum expansion. The other letter that is actually a quite perfect match is the G. It's on top there, where you have where it has a contextual basis, so where you have to find out its context, so that you don't know very well where it will match. If you start from your vision in matter, in the materialization process, where you have M as the maximum, the G is actually that part which is already bigger, like the G, it's bigger. You can't, all the things that are hard to reach from a physical viewpoint onwards. So from a physical viewpoint, you can't reach it. You can also not make it in the timing process, so you can only meet it in a contextual basis. So that's the G. It meets the heavens, let's say. It meets the top layer where the heavens is, where you can see where's the theory, what is lying behind it, what bigger things are lying behind it, which I can't see yet. That's that G with g, which you can hear here. It's on the top, so the pronouncement and the pronouncement can even be recognized in that form. So it's hard to reach. You cannot make it yourself, but you can only meet it. That's the G part. It also is a perfect match to my theory. It sounds actually like a more pronounced K. That hard to reach idea is a letter of its own as well. It has its basis in the physical foundation, as you see underneath. It's the K. K means it's on the basis of our full system. It's the first time when you have doubts about keeping a center. So you have doubts that if you can still keep on reaching your goal, keep on reaching keep your perspective. That's the K. So it's also at that borders, but with more pronounced, much more pronounced, with more physicality, that hard to reach thing. You can also recognize it when you understand it, that it's the same point. So it is that point which is hard to reach from a physical viewpoint. And with the G, it's that meeting point where you can say, okay, but you can still go on and meet the unknown also, actually, beyond that. Another thing that you can still recognize is the B. The B, for me, it is a less perfect match at its first sight, because the mindset is slightly different. The B I have designed as the borders that actually are expanding. Now here you can also see the basis is well found. There's a good foundation of the basis. and also you see these borders expanding. So it is actually still matching, not immediately clear, but it's still matching that there is an expansion upward going on. B and P are also each other's, they have a relationship with each other. It's the same sound, but it's softer. You have the B and the P. So the B is from the physical area where you are becoming. So everything is already quite physical, but it's going beyond reach. It's becoming something more, and so on. The P is its result. It's immediately the result of all that was becoming. So it is already focusing on what it became and what it could become. That's the P. Two versions on it, but the P is split here into two parts, as if it's really saying it's describing it as being softer, being split into its parts, away from where we started from. So you can recognize it, you can understand it from its position. It's also going to the top. It reached itself into the positions of timing. So from start to finish, something changed, and you have a change in that P. Something can be recognized, what you get out there as P. It's understandable. Once you understand P, you can understand the Korean character there as well. Another few characters can still be understood. I already told you the M, the M, immediately recognizable in that physical part. On top of that is the first thing that you can make available in a time process. So when you start a time process, you use the letter D. When you develop something in a time process, you use the letter N. How you can see it a little bit like a starting point from that arrow of time where you can make it, and so in that way you can understand it. It's that open process which you can make for it, or is a process I always remember this form as the nose a little bit because of the sound of the nose, but that's a trick. Actually, also there, it is that starting point of the timing. We don't have access to the full timing process yet, but we know something can come for it. It gives you the opportunity with D that you can make something. So things are stable in the earth, in physicality, but when you're going to change them, you can make something from it via the letter D. And you can form something from it with the letter N. So here also you use the vertical there, the D, you use the horizontal there. In my theory, you can still recognize them if you know that there's a timing process underneath. So with the D, you can make something happen, and the N, yes, you can form something from there, what you're already making. So also these letters are matches to my theory and can be understood in that way and can help you to understand the everything, which you can also understand when I compare them to Roman letters. So, okay, heavens, earth, in a way, these heavens, the control over the heavens is, instead of keeping it gray, it's better to use immediately the color red to make it much more a match to the whole Korean system. Okay, what else from letters do we still have that we can still understand from my theory? We have the letter S, the letter and the letter R. You know, of course, that in the East they have somewhat difficulties of pronouncing R, but they are actually in a combination. They can be combined and can be. What I understood from it is that that I saw differences in positions, that sometimes this form or this process is compared to the letter L. And when they are further processed, they can be compared to the letter R, but they are slightly mixable in nature. But I will tell you how and how this match actually between R and L is going on. The making of something, making something physical. So when something takes a shape, is getting a form, also on, that's the letter L. So something here for us, it is this irregular form which makes a shape. It's understandable that you can use it here for the letter L. It's something is making a shape. It's finding its shape. It's finding its form physically as the letter L. It's perfectly in the middle in the materialization process. So it is about that materialization process going on. The letter R actually is also about materialization process, but it is the match that makes things grow, that makes things connect, that makes things a reality, that something grows. In the matter, you just see a form that is changed and that's it. It's physical, it's just the result and nothing else. As the R, it is the connection. It makes the connection. It made it a reality, so it has a different place in the system, but there it makes the matches. Within this region of the heavens, there's much more going on. In the heavens, they make a match between heaven and earth. They make a match that they see, okay, what is needed for the earth in a timed process, and let's make the match. With the R, the match will be made. And so the points of reach of what is needed, the feedback process, and what you have in need from L actually. And so the L is that need actually where you don't know if the outcome will come there. There's an uncertainty still as a letter L. It's growing up, but you don't see to which direction it's going. It's like the word love. You don't know where it's going. Is that needed? Is everything needed? Is everything for me? Is everything for maybe for somewhere else? You don't see where things are really connecting. You only see that something is forming. Something is becoming physical. But with R, you see the connections. You notice the connections. They are contextual. It's there in the heavens. The theoretical perfection, you see where it's connected to and how reality is connecting itself. The S is still missing that I have. It's also a perfect match. It is that part which goes almost beyond the system. It's almost about the system. It's how the system works, how it is functioning, and the whole feedback process. The whole effect of everything that happens is shown at that place. So it's at a perfect place, and I can understand it from that position as well. The good effect we have as a match as the letter H there. So everything which is in the contextual frame, which you say, I know how it matches, that's the letter H. Where it connects is with the letter R. The G is a little bit like trying to connect to that system. And that G has a counterbalance in the, if you see the design, so that G is going towards heaven, the N is the other way around. It's going into the process of making the connection in the timed process. Let's go to it, so that the G and the N will make a match. And what is the G and the N together? There is a match there from these two letters. We have a Roman usage of the G with the N, and we associate it with the sound m. M is again, that is really the balanced out point between what I can establish as a connection and how I want to make a connection. It's in between about the connection points, how actually the whole yin and yang process makes a match. This again, of course, reminds me of how the progress will go up, and this whole idea of the connection point of with the process that going up, this balance from in the left and in the right, when they are in balance, you have the context how you go from where you have to start from and where you have to end in. And that's the good effect. That's the contextual effect. And that's how it is described also in this H. You can understand this H as this combination by looking at this picture here. The only two letters that I don't know exactly where to put them into the system of balance are these two. I also don't know how they are used in language, so I keep them aside for now. But you have already a very good foundation to learn also from my system compared to the Korean script which is called the Hangul script from Korea, from the Korean countries. I hope you enjoyed this one. Just let me know. There is more said about the Korean script in my second part of my book, The Application of the Word. So you have a lot more explanations, not those that I have here today. So these ones were extra. And the full book is called Sound Informed, to prepare you if you would like. I hope you enjoyed this, because it's always interesting also to see things from a different angle. So why not from a different angle of a different language and a different script? Because the theories themselves of how things are in balance are the same for all humans everywhere in the world. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.